Many of us use Facebook these days. It is a social networking site that has the ability to bring people together from far and wide, to make us cry with heartwarming homecoming videos, and to constantly keep us informed. When we think about being informed, do we think whether the information we are reading on Facebook is correct or not, especially the information regarding to politics? Politics floods Facebook, whether it is an ad, an opinion, or a silly meme. But how are we to trust a social networking site for factual information when its main purpose is for opinion? Today, I will argue that Facebook is a social networking site that should not be used for discussing politics because Facebook is an opinionated platform. There are many reasons why we use Facebook, but let us see why one shouldn't use Facebook for discussing politics. Facebook always uses algorithms and super diffusers to persuade users to think a specific way. Super diffusers, however, focuses on interpersonal persuasion in which actively engaging with particular people to persuade them rather than merely inform others of information they possess. In class, we watched the movie The Great Hack and how it showed evidence of how Facebook's persuasive information being saved, stored, and ultimately used against their users. Like mentioned in the press effect, frames are the underlying depiction of what the public reads, hears, and watches. This is how Facebook frames our political information and uses it ultimately against us. This is the perfect example, like the Great Hack, of how data compression is being stored and ultimately, again, manipulated against us. You hear constantly how people talk about their inability to believe in what they read on social media or Facebook for that matter. And that just to show that, obviously people think that there's something wrong with the information that they're, being subjected to. Facebook, on the other hand, only shows one side of politics. This is how we form ideologies around politics to begin with because of the information we're constantly presented with and subjected to by Facebook. Facebook's algorithms favor engagement. The very structure of Facebook limits who we talk to. You have to friend others to see their posts, meaning you're less likely to see people outside of your real life friends and family who they are more likely to have similar lives and viewpoints as you. Clifford Christians said, in every journalistic code of ethics, there's a prioritized value as objectivity and accuracy. This is why Facebook isn't a proper social networking site or platform to discuss politics because it's different. It doesn't give you the hard facts. The algorithms aren't actually set up that way. They're set up for engagement, not for correctness of the information. We all know that, you may post something on Facebook and you can always add your own little piece to it, whether your opinion is factual or simply just your opinion. And this is how, adding your opinion, people can twist the information that I may add to an article versus actually soaking up what the article says itself. That's how we confuse opinion and facts. That is the axiom of Facebook. It is self-evident that Facebook is a social networking site, and those are simply created for opinions and lack real evidence of facts. Facebook claims that they want to be more credible journalists, and the author Philo is insisting that this isn't a PR stunt. He thinks Facebook is just doing this to get people's off his back. An article written by Times in May of 2016 talks about how society is starting to place more and more responsibility on social networking sites like Facebook to condition what American people read, watch, and hear. This can increase groupthink by trying to control the decision-making outcome for our society and our democracy as a whole. Though we argue that Facebook is not appropriate for politics, it has brought some good as well. Facebook is trying to use new platforms to bring in new media outlets to widen their credibility for the information they present on their site. Representatives from Facebook have told new executives they would be willing to spend up to $3 million a year to license headlines and previews to articles from news outlets. Mark Zuckerberg said that he was committed to surfacing more high-quality news and creating a business model and ecosystem to support it. This is good for the people who really do heavily rely on Facebook as their news source outlet. It allows them to have multiple sources of information versus just one. So, it allows them to kind of fact check themselves and be more precise in the information that they're choosing to share and spread. Facebook has a dramatic increase in involvement in politics within the last 10 years. Early research has found that opinion expression and conversation about political affairs can lead to mobilization and engagement in political activities. And we saw a lot of this with Black Lives Matter during this summer. Soften information inequalities between social groups ensure broad popular awareness of key political events, and most crucially, spur us to act on the knowledge that we are aware of come Election Day. Times even mentioned that during the 2016 election, politics as a whole was the most talked about thing on Facebook. No matter what an individual thinks, social media platforms like Facebook and politics will neither be going anywhere anytime soon. Though the ways Facebook does influence the political game have been discussed and the counter-arguments of how it doesn't, ultimately, Facebook will still be the social media site that allows someone to express their opinion. Facebook isn't the place to search for our hard news because of their ability to add your opinion and shift other people's beliefs because of the super diffusers and algorithms. Hopefully, the next time you are on Facebook and you want to post something politically, really ask yourself if you want to post a message or the right message.